I'm going to be doing my lesson over probability. So probability is a simple likelihood that an event will occur. Many of y'all don't know what probability is used in your everyday life to make decisions. For example, on a normal day, like what's the probability that you would throw up? It's probably pretty low, right? There's not a lot of days that you're throwing up or you're sick like that. However, if you ate a lot of junk food, ate a lot of candy, like went on a roller coaster that just did a bunch of circles, what would be the probability that you'd throw up now? Probably more than it was before, probably a lot more, it increases, right? So probability is used in a lot of things in our lives. For example, the big things that probability is used for is like to predict the weather, like predict sports matchups, who's gonna win in politics, and if businesses are gonna be making money or lose money. Everything's based on a probability, right? So here's the formula for how we find probability, all right? So probability equals the number of favorable outcomes divided by the number of total events. So PA/NA divided by NS. So PA is the probability of event A, NA is the number of outcomes, and NS is a total number of events. So I'll go over that a little bit more after we just go over our example. So if I were to flip a normal coin, normal quarter, heads and tails, what would be the probability that it lands on heads? If I were to flip it once, it'd be 50-50, right? So if I flip this coin, it lands on tails. I got the wrong side of the 50. However, let's say it landed on heads the first time. So I flip it, it lands on heads. Okay, sweet, so I got it right. But what would be the probability if I flipped it again and it landed on heads? Well, it would drop down to 0.25. Why would it drop down to 0.25? Well, it's because we gotta plug those numbers in to that formula I just read. So we're gonna come back. So when I flip this coin, it's gonna have two outcomes. It's either gonna land on heads or it's gonna land on tails. Either one. So the probability of it landing on heads would be 50. The probability of it landing on tails would be 50. So to find the probability of it landing on heads, we would divide the number of events. So the event would be flipping this coin. So it'd be 1 by the total number of outcomes. So the outcomes would be landing on heads or tails. So it would be 1 event divided by 2 outcomes. So it'd be 0.5, a 50% chance. But if we flipped it again, the event is still 1, but the total outcomes becomes 4 because it can land on heads twice, it can land on tails twice. So you go first flips heads, second flips tails, or you could switch it. It could be first flip is tails, second's heads. There's more outcomes, so it drops down to 25% chance that it lands on heads twice. So the outcomes you could have with this would be flip. These are all going to be outcomes for flip 1. Flip 1 could be heads, tails, tails. So it can only be those 2. But flip 2 could be heads, tails, heads. So if I were to flip this twice, I could get heads twice. I could get heads once on the first flip and tails on the second flip. Or I could get tails twice. Or on the first flip, I could get tails. And the second, I could get heads. And that is just basic probability.